you are going to struggle for something in this life. That is not a warning. It is an absolute certainty. The question has never been whether you will pay a price, but what kind of return that payment will purchase. Every man pays for the life he leads. The careless man pays later through regret and decline. The disciplined man pays earlier through voluntary effort. The fearful man pays in missed opportunities, while the ambitious man pays in relentless execution. There is no hidden arrangement where you escape payment entirely. Therefore, stop asking how to avoid friction and start asking what kind of struggle is genuinely worthy of your life. That single distinction will permanently alter your trajectory. Too many men make absolute comfort their highest objective. They desire a road without resistance, a business without financial risk, a partnership without sacrifice, and high achievement without delay. When life refuses to supply these impossible conditions, they become discouraged, assuming something has gone wrong. Nothing has gone wrong. Resistance is not a sign of failure. It is the fundamental law of construction. A muscle only strengthens when forced to work against physical weight. Sound judgment only sharpens when forced to decide where certainty is incomplete. Character only develops when a principle must be obeyed at a personal cost. You do not become powerful by arranging an existence where nothing tests your resolve. You become powerful by learning how to master what tests you. However, struggle by itself does not automatically improve a man. Hardship is not an automatic teacher. A man can endure brutal conditions for 20 years and emerge only more bitter, suspicious, and rigid. Another man passes through a difficult season and comes out with razor-sharp clarity, unshakable boundaries, and emotional self-control. The difficulty was merely raw material. The man's internal response converted it into lasting instruction. You must learn the art of conversion. If you are going to pay for experience, demand full value from it. Stop suffering through the exact same lesson repeatedly simply because you refuse to study its first occurrence. And if an enterprise fails, examine the flaws in your judgment. If debt accumulates, examine the subtle habits beneath it. If you repeatedly attract weak or dishonest associates, examine what red flags you deliberately ignored at the beginning. If you lose control under pressure, examine what belief gives anger permission to take command. Struggle becomes useful the exact moment it reveals something within your power to change. Do not merely complain that a situation is difficult. Ask directly, what capacity is this difficulty building in me? Perhaps it is training patience, sharpening independence, or enforcing financial discipline. Once difficulty carries direction, helplessness vanishes. Hardship is not an automatic teacher. Your internal response is what converts pressure into lasting instruction. Be careful not to romanticize suffering. Difficulty is not automatically noble. And there is no virtue in carrying a burden that serves no higher purpose. A man can remain in a destructive arrangement for years and call it endurance when it is actually just fear of making a decision. He can work without rest and call it ambition when it is simply poor organization. He can tolerate disrespect and call it loyalty when it is merely a lack of self-respect. You must learn to distinguish useful struggle from useless drain. Useful struggle builds capacity. Unnecessary struggle merely consumes your time and spirit. Look at your current hardships and ask with absolute honesty, what is this suffering purchasing for my future? Is it buying skill, freedom, character, or a stronger enterprise? If yes, the price may be justified. But if the price buys only repeated chaos and emotional exhaustion, you must re-evaluate the arrangement. You're not required to suffer simply because suffering feels serious. The goal is not to become impressed with how much pain you can withstand, but to become capable of building something valuable. This is why a definite purpose is essential. Purpose gives struggle a destination. Without a clear aim, hardship scatters your energy. You labor, but you do not know what the effort is constructing. You sacrifice, but you cannot explain what the sacrifice serves. Meaningless effort ultimately breeds bitterness. A man can endure tremendous strain when he knows precisely why he's enduring it. Give your struggle a clear objective. If you are working long hours, know what asset you are creating. If you are saving aggressively, know what independence those savings are meant to secure. If you are saying no to immediate comfort, know what future discipline you are protecting. This creates voluntary hardship. Voluntary hardship is fundamentally different from helpless suffering. You chose the price because you value the result. That choice restores dignity to your effort and gives you the right to reconsider when the price no longer serves the purpose. Lemmed. Do not remain loyal to a struggle merely because you have already endured a great deal of it. Past cost does not make future cost wise. Review the facts calmly. Perhaps the strategy needs to change, the partnership must end, or the goal itself was chosen out of vanity rather than purpose. Accurate thinking is far more valuable than misplaced pride. A strong man can say, I have learned enough from this road, and now I will choose a better one. That is not surrender, that is sound judgment. Useful struggle builds capacity. Unnecessary struggle merely consumes your time and spirit. Many men remain advanced in the wrong field simply because they are afraid to look like beginners in the right one. They prefer impressive dissatisfaction. Do not allow temporary status to trap you in a life that drains your spirit. A beginner moving toward a definite purpose has infinitely more future than an expert who secretly despises the direction of his expertise. If you discover that your current road is wrong, you do not need to destroy your life impulsively. Bills exist, families depend on your decisions, and real responsibilities must be honored. Make your transitions with calculated intelligence. Unbuild a bridge. Study the new domain in your available hours. Save capital, sharpen your skills, and create real evidence of your capability. You do not need a dramatic, reckless escape. You need organized, quiet movement. This is where vague desire meets practical reality. A genuine calling must survive contact with unglamorous labor. Many men fall in love with the image of a profession rather than its daily demands. They love the idea of being an author, but hate the quiet isolation of writing. They love the idea of business ownership, but dread accounting, sales, and management. They want public influence, but shrink from criticism. That is not a definite purpose. It is merely attraction to an image. Test your desires through immediate labor. Do the unglamorous work. If your interest deepens when the friction becomes real, pay close attention. If your enthusiasm vanishes the moment applause is removed, you love the display, not the craft. Purpose does not mean every single day will feel thrilling. Mastery contains vast amounts of repetition and routine. A musician practices scales, a merchant reviews ledgers, and a writer edits drafts. Purpose simply makes that monotony tolerable because the repetition serves a destination you deeply respect. Learn to distinguish between temporary boredom inside a worthy pursuit and permanent emptiness inside the wrong one. One demands discipline, the other demands a change in course. Do not confuse the two. Furthermore, understand that what ignites your interest may not immediately support you financially. Build your skill first. Learn what people actually need and how your interest can solve real problems, organize chaos, or create value. A private passion becomes a viable profession only when it is joined with genuine service to others. An MDA beginner moving toward a definite purpose has infinitely more future than an expert who secretly despises his direction. When you unite internal conviction with external usefulness, the nature of your work changes completely. You are no longer merely chasing an income. You are building deep competence around something that matters to you. That union creates exceptional endurance and true originality. The man who works solely to impress others constantly imitates whatever currently receives public admiration. But the man driven by genuine interest looks directly at the work itself. He notices details others overlook, experiments without fear, and stays with a problem long after the novelty has faded. Depth creates distinction. Originality is not born from trying desperately to be different. It is born from staying with a subject long enough to understand it beyond the surface. Ambly as you build around genuine value rather than social applause. You will encounter your first major test, the resistance of people who were comfortable with your old identity. Friends, family, or colleagues may criticize your new direction, call it impractical, or remind you of who you used to be. Do not borrow their interpretation. Their resistance often has little to do with you. Your willingness to change forces them to question the comfortable assumptions they have made about their own lives. When you step out of a respectable routine to build something of your own, they hear risk. When you stop competing for titles that once mattered to them, they hear failure. MD, you must learn to separate affection from authority. You can love a person deeply without allowing his fears to select your chief aim. You can respect a mentor's experience without adopting his temperament as your own. Listen to warnings, analyze the facts, and consider the risks, but retain absolute ownership of the decision. Real independence is never dramatic or rebellious. Rebellion is just another form of being controlled by other people's opinions. Genuine independence is calm and organized. It says, I will listen, I will examine the facts, and I will decide. Mend. If you choose an unconventional road, do not demand freedom while expecting others to cushion your fall. Prepare with meticulous thoroughness. Save more capital, study the new domain deeper, and build the structural capacity to carry your own weight. Passion does not excuse ignorance. It gives you an urgent reason to eliminate it. Let your desire make you hungry for specialized knowledge. Seek out men with proven experience. Learn the unglamorous mechanics of the trade and allow your vision to be tested by raw reality. A fantasy weakens when facts arrive, but a true purpose becomes far more intelligent. Real independence is calm and organized. It says, I will listen, I will examine the facts, and I will decide. Okay? As your foundation strengthens, acquired confidence replaces the desperate need for permission. You no longer require everyone to understand your trajectory because the work itself is producing tangible evidence. You stop answering objections with words. Your progress becomes the explanation. This is the stage where you face the ultimate trap, allowing initial success to corrupt the very purpose that created it. When recognition arrives, money improves and doors open, the center can subtly shift. You may feel tempted to choose what expands your public image over what deepens your mastery, turning a genuine calling into another form of social performance. Success must serve your purpose, never replace it. A definite aim requires immunity from social fashion. While methods and markets must adapt to changing realities, your, your core direction must remain anchored in what you truly value. Stop comparing your timeline to peers who appear to be advancing faster in more visible directions. Their visible results do not invalidate your silent foundation. Roots receive no applause, yet they anchor the entire tree. When you are fully engaged in building something you respect, another man's elevation is easy to admire without envy. You can acknowledge his achievement without feeling compelled to trade assignments. Land. Your purpose is constantly calling for a higher standard of man. Demand that your daily habits rise to meet it. Build patience where long-term strategy is required. Discipline where routine is necessary. And financial reserve where risk must be managed. A worthy ambition. You no longer waste energy maintaining one persona for the public and another in private. When your daily labor reflects your actual values, you gain a source of endurance that public praise can never supply and public criticism can never destroy. Men step fully out of the arena of external validation and step into the stewardship of your work. Stop decorating an unfinished life for the admiration of strangers. Build the skill, master the craft, serve with unshakable integrity, and allow your life to carry the quiet, undeniable authority of a man who owns his direction. Stop decorating an unfinished life for the admiration of strangers. Build the skill and own your direction.